What's up, world? This is Raw with Liveloud coming at you guys again with another episode of Say It Loud. It's really an honor to just be meeting people as I've been on this journey. It's been such a great experience to be able to sit with people that I know and already love their stories, already love their mission. I really know what they're up to. And this was a way for me to get to celebrate people. But the really great part about this is that I'm getting to meet new people and hearing about their mission and what stuff they're up to. So today I have Miss Danielle. Thank you for joining us on the call today.
Hi, how are you?
Doing fantastic. So I recently was introduced to Danielle from my friend AB, who, if you guys have been tuning in, his interview was on Monday and he shared his story. And he's just like, I have a powerhouse that you need to meet that I think would be great for this. So we jumped on a call a couple of days ago. I think her story is fantastic and what stuff she's up to, what stuff she's doing. And yeah, we'll dive right in. So Ms. Danielle, please share with us, what are you up to in your world?
Oh, wow, so much. First of all, I want to say I hope everyone is, being as safe as possible as they can. I know we're going through a really crazy time and, everybody's sheltering in place and I'm sure there's a lot of thoughts going through a lot of people's minds right now, but, I wish everybody peace and love. Into my story, my name is Daniella Miller and I'm a consultant. I actually specialize and helping organizations prepare for emergencies so they can protect their businesses and protect the people that work for them.
Yeah, hence why she started off with making sure that you guys are all right. This is her field. And in the short time and the little that I know you, I see that that's a big care for you to just work on, not necessarily just the moving progression part, but the preservation, and taking care of ourselves, taking care of the organizations, what it comes with, and not for the sake of the business profit side, but for the people involved.
Absolutely. It's unfortunate that, when there's a disaster, 40 to 60% of businesses, they usually don't open back up. And it's unfortunate because we're going through one right now. So, my job is to make sure that they don't become a part of that statistic. And I think a lot of that has to deal with the people who work for them and protecting the people that work for them. And one of the things that I'm passionate about is personal preparedness. I believe that if a person is prepared at home, then they're more likely to come back to the business.
Yeah, so, and I was just thinking about that before we got on the call, being that I'm speaking to you. And I was reflecting back because I also been hunting for, okay, let's keep this going. Let's keep this storytelling going. Who else do I know? Who else do I want to share their story? And I'm thinking about the people and the businesses that I've come across. And I started to wonder, are they going to make it out of this? Are they going to have enough cash flow to stay, above their bottom line? And what does that look like? What does the trajectory of their impact, all the ways that they serve people? And if they're not there, then what happens? So exactly. It's really like there's so much that the ripple effect of this is not a business goes down, but all the lives that are incorporated or integrated into that business and its impact really get phased by it. So tell us a little more, how is it that you work with people on that? Or like, what are the topics on that you really...
Absolutely. So the framework that we like to do, or the people in my industry, the things that we like to do, we have to look at, we try to do an analysis. So we basically will go to your business and we'll look at the location, the people, what's your day-to-day, what type of IT you use, do you work with any vendors or do you outsource anything? And like, how quickly would you need these things and how long can you go without them? And then once I take that and do like a little analysis over that, then we develop strategies to help your business. Basically, like if you lose one of those things, like if you lose the workplace, if you lose people, which is happening a lot right now, what do you do? How do you continue those services and what strategies do you need to put in place? And, the most important thing is protecting the people that work for you. So, if you can't protect your business, then most likely the outcome is going to be you're not going to open again. And a lot of that has to deal with people. And people want to feel protected when they're at work. It goes back to that personal preparedness thing too. It starts with the person. One of the things that I like to tell people is, think about your family. Think about what do you want to plan for? What's important to you? For example, are you on any medication that maybe you needed to get previously to this pandemic? Or, you know, are you storing food properly? Are you storing water properly? You know, and all these things can be very overwhelming. So, you know, I like to tell people, just pick one thing, you know, come together with your family members. Obviously not now because of social distancing,
Yeah.
but come together with your family members. You know, we have Zoom now, and talk about what are those essentials, what's really important to me, and, you know, is it something that I'm going to need in the long run?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, what I do for organizations can definitely be applied to on a personal level.
Yeah, and there's such an important part of really being able to ask that, because if you don't know what to protect yourself from, you're just vulnerable to it when it occurs, right? So
Absolutely.
one of the ways that I've heard, or I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs as we work in our businesses, is that especially the first couple of years as we're trying to develop, we take our earnings, we take what we have, and we put it right back into the business so that it keeps on growing and developing. And now we're in a situation where this was unpredictable for the majority of people out there. We and especially
Absolutely.
the small business owners who were thinking, okay, cool, this year, this is my year. 2020 is going to be it for business. I'm going to launch and drive it.
I was super excited.
Yeah, I came in pretty floored too, man. So I'm just like, okay, cool, like, and we're gonna make this happen. And unfortunately, I mean, I know we're playing around right now, but like, there's a lot of businesses, sadly, that don't come out of that stuff, and it's because we don't know how to be mindful about the things that we are at risk, that we have no idea we're at risk for. So that's why I thought your position or your role and how you work with people is so interesting on that side of it, being able to do that. So where did this thing come from? Was I know you shared with me a story before, but what's a story of yours that really led you kind of down this path of watching people's back, for the lack of a better way to describe it?
What got me into this was, you know, I always had this feeling where I've wanted to help people. And, you know, I truly believe that we're here, you know, we're all here to serve, and we're all here to spread love. But my personal awakening was when I went through cancer. It was over 12 years ago, and it was only stage one. It was actually ovarian cancer, and it was stage one. But what ended up happening was, after the surgery, I gotten a little bit worse. Well, not a little bit, a lot of it, a lot worse. And I ended up in a coma. And, you know, when I woke up out of the coma, thank God, I had to learn how to read and write. I had to learn how to do everything all over again. So it was almost like a rebirth. And, you know, we were talking about this before. It was like I got pulled out of the matrix, and, you know, I just saw life a whole lot differently. And I knew then that I wanted to dedicate myself to helping others. And, you know, like I said, I all believe that we should be a service to others. And, you know, when I went back to school, I saw this field. I ended up getting a master's in emergency management. And that's when I learned about how I can help organizations prepare for things like this.
Mm-hmm. All right, three things. How long were you in your coma? How long did it take you to recover or develop your motor skills, your auto skills, into being able to come back to, I guess, just operating the way you do? And what did that feel like? What was that like for you?
Yes. So the coma, I went into a coma like in the summer, and then I ended up like end of summer, and then I woke up in October. So it was about like 2-3 months. And when I woke up, you know, it was sort of one of those things where it was like, okay, well, where am I? I don't know what's going on. And I knew that, you know, I had the cancer and I got the surgery, but I didn't understand that, hey, you know, the ish hit the fan. And after that, basically that whole recovery process probably took a month. But for me to actually get back to normal, like the new norm, which is what a lot of us are going to have to deal with in the future, what's the new norm? My new norm probably took me a year or two, because there's the battle after the cancer, you know. So once I learned how to walk, and once I learned how to talk and get all my motor skills back, it was like, okay, now I have to get back to working. I have to look at my finances. You know what I mean? Like, and then there was my family member. Thank goodness they were like an amazing support system. And, you know, we spoke about this too, I might have been the one going through cancer, but they were also there with me, helping me out. So they were battling it with me too. So, thank God for that. Yeah, but I think that whole journey took like a couple of years just to start to feel normal again. And, that inspired me to want to help other people with, something that might have been a tragedy to them. Because for me, it's like I took that tragedy, I transformed it, and I turned it into triumph. Because I'm here now and I'm able to speak to you now, and I've helped tons of organizations, and I'm helping people now too, to turn their lives around and be more resilient.
Yeah, and I really love that you mentioned the Matrix. It's something that I consistently reference when I talk to people about a spiritual awakening or an emotional awakening, or awakening of consciousness, that we can start redefining, or not just necessarily redefining. I think the redefining is a byproduct on us paying attention into another level and us comprehending on what's going on around us and our abilities. Yeah. What can we create? What do I really want to do at this time? Yeah. Oh, now time seems so much more precious than just a clock that keeps on ticking it away, right? We're here now. And that process took you years. Granted, your experience was very unique, that was a very specific experience that happened, but there's a lot of people that I encounter who want change and want it like that. They want it quick. And the part of doing this work is being able to stand with the lessons, take in mind, okay, now I'm giving this chance, right? I didn't necessarily have to get close to death, but let's say that was the case. Now I'm giving this chance to redefine, what do I really want to stand for?
Exactly.
Yeah, and I love that you've taken that and ran with it, and
yeah,
that's a really inspiring thing. So how do you see yourself, or what would you like to keep on unveiling or developing in your work? How is it that you like to work with people? Because I know you work with organizations, but I know you said that this also applies to people.
Exactly, absolutely. So again, I want to help take people's tragedy and turn it into a triumph. And, again, what ends up happening when you're going through something, especially something bad, is, you tend to block yourself, or, you get down in yourself. It's like you have to raise your vibration. So, I want to help people really tap into, what is it that they need to do to move forward. And a lot of times it's having to go within and ask themselves a certain amount of questions and really look at themselves deeply and figuring out, what is it that they value? What's most important to them? And what do they really want? And these sound like three really easy questions, right? But, when you ask people what they want, it's hard for them to define. So, I want to help people get that clarity so they can really move towards the way they want to live in life.
Right. Yeah, that is so crucial. There's so many times we don't address that question head on, right? We take this way on what could I be busy with, or what else do I want to do, or what new thing am I going to integrate in my life? What's something I'm going to try, which is amazing, because sometimes we stumble upon these magical quests of a hobby that becomes a passion, that becomes a career, or volunteer work, working with other people. I think that's all great, but there's so much power in just sitting directly with the question, what do I want? And how can I limit that? So I might say, I want this. Now let's chop it down to the top three. What three things do I really want?
Exactly.
Is it love, health, joy? Is it, what fundamental things do I say? If I had three things that I want, I chose to live with, what would that be? And so often we don't sit with that simple question, and we just try to achieve it by going here and there rather than coming within.
Really trying to figure that out. And the why, right? What is your reason behind it? Once you figure out the why, and you really got to go deep. I think that's when it all becomes clear, and that's when the beauty happens.
Yeah, that is my favorite thing on when I work with people, whether I'm coaching or in Liveloud. You know, I do this branding and stuff. I don't even know if I told you much about what I do. In my work, I do all this like branding work. I work with people on their visual representation. But what I'm really doing when I sit with people is like, I want to dig into your why. What's your reason? You know, I remember this one restaurant that I worked with, and they were just like, you know, it's an opportunity. They didn't have Peruvian food in this area, so you know, we wanted to create this restaurant. And then after digging, they would share about their grandma's cooking and how their grandma's cooking, the cousins and the brothers and sisters, they would all come around and they would just enjoy grandma's cooking. And grandma's cooking pulled people together, and his family was surrounded around her servings. And that's his why. And he was like, once it clicked, it's like, holy crap, that's what I'm actually looking to
There
create.
we go. Exactly.
So I really love that, because there's the work that you do in particular is supporting people or wanting to support people in asking those questions and being able to achieve that. But you also come with the education and knowledge on like watch your back as well. So how do you
exactly
set yourself up so that you're winning on that mission? That's really great. That's really great. So for people, another reason why I launched Say It Loud was to speak to the people right now that they could be going to hardship, or they might be struggling in their business right now. And is it too late? Is it like what now that people are being hit and like their business is being hit? I'm not sure if you have anything to share. I'm curious because I'm just like, my business got hit with this as well.
Absolutely. Well, you know, I think one thing for businesses, you know, is to look at the CARES Act that was passed. You know, there's a lot of good information in there, and you know, many businesses are going to be applying for like that reimbursement loan, and there's a lot of stipulations with that, a lot of nuances. And so, in other words, businesses are going to have questions. So I think it's important for them to really study that, and if there's something that they don't understand, to seek some professional guidance on that, so you know they can get the best benefits as possible. And then also understand too that, you know, they're probably going to have to be very patient, because it's the whole world that's experiencing this, and particularly in the United States, it's all of the United States that's experiencing this, and they're not the only business. So I don't think it's too late at all. I think as far as from a people standpoint, I think people should take more of a proactive approach instead of reactive. Because as you can see, when the whole pandemic and COVID-19 happened, people really reacted, and they were going into the supermarkets and buying up all the food and buying up all the toilet paper. And, you know, one of the things that I teach in personal preparedness is prepare yourself little by little, you know. So, for example, do one thing a month, store some food, you know, and then the next month, store some water. And of course, there's more details behind this. But yeah, I just encourage people to take more of a proactive approach. We're going to get through this emergency and we're going to get through this crisis, but what happens when the next crisis comes? So yeah, that's my advice.
Yeah, that's really great. Being proactive instead of reactive. There's way too often, I myself included, and you know, I go in and show up, and sometimes I don't walk in with an agenda on what I necessarily want to work on, and I'm just responding to this, but I'm disregarding where I could be going. You know, because all I'm doing is interacting with my circumstances rather than operating from my vision and redefining my circumstances to get to my vision, right? And I think again, I think you're such an incredible resource, being that you are familiar and you're educated in these ways of how I might not be aware of. You know, so for the people listening, if you do have your businesses, if you're part of an organization, or I'm not sure, Danielle, when you are going to launch to work with people individually, I suggest you guys getting in touch with her, and you know, picking a brain on her greatness. And you know, who knows? It's really being able to take care of yourself in the way that you might not have known you needed. And it takes something like this situation to be like, oh wow, all right, I really needed that.
Exactly.
Now I know, and now I would want my journey as an entrepreneur in my business to be a nice long one. So if I do want that, if that is my intention, there are things that I could do right now to make sure I'm taking care of my baby, which is my business, you know. So
exactly.
So great. How can people find you? How can people follow you, or get in touch with you if they have any questions, or maybe want to work with you on what you do?
Absolutely. So they can find me on LinkedIn, or they can email me at Daniella8139@gmail.com or yahoo.com. So Daniella8139 at Yahoo. But I'm also on LinkedIn, and you can see some of the work that I've done as well. And I also have a podcast. It's called COVID Talks. It's not only my podcast, it's actually from the company that I was working with, Mazars. So, and you can find that on iTunes. But yeah, just my regular email, Daniella8139@gmail.com. So
awesome. Yeah. And I was listening to that. I listened to the episode that you sent me, and it's there, and the information is right there. Please follow her, check in, email, reach out, take a listen. There's so much that we could learn, so much that we could be applying to as we grow, as we develop. And again, for those people who are struggling, I'd be with you for the people who are struggling with the health, and those who are struggling in your businesses. It's not too late. Like Daniella said, be patient right now. We're going to get out of this. And it takes how we are going to implement these steps. How are we going to take precautions and take the following steps that might be unknown right now? That's scary. And one thing I've learned as I talk to my people all around the world, a lot of people are in the same situation. So we're not alone in this, guys. Come together, reach out. Daniella, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I really appreciated this. Thank you. This is great.
Absolutely. All right, guys. So for everyone tuning in, stay tuned to another episode of Say It Loud. More than coming, more amazing interviews. Again, if you guys know people who are out there doing powerful things that have a powerful story, please connect me. I want to put them on the blowhorn and share their stories with all of you wonderful people. All right, guys. So thanks a lot and much love.
Thanks again, Raul. Bye. Bye, everyone.